Good. All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So we're going to get started here and probably spend anywhere from 20 minutes to a half hour here together. Kind of would like to talk about a topic that kind of hit my heart about a little bit before Thanksgiving, as I was working with my generations members about how an unusual year we've had in 2020, and all of us have our own personal, professional horror stories. I mean, I'm heartbroken, as for many of our colleagues in March, April, and May, whether it was there's what the state required them to do, or the fact they didn't know what to do, what would be appropriate ways of practice. That 2020 was a very difficult year for our colleagues, and some having the virus even hit them on a personal level. Some of you docs may have, not only on a family level, it might have taken you out of your practice, or your staff. And it was a serious thing. And it still is a serious thing. And as I was thinking about in November, the things that I was grateful for in my practice and grateful for my family life, grateful for the doctors I work with, I just realized, what, I wanted to share a little bit from the heart. Maybe I could leave a part with you some information that you would go, I never thought of it that way. Why I know this stuff works is that, as most of you know, I'm still a practicing chiropractor, and I just juggle some other things with family wellness education. Some of you know me as the editor of the textbook Pediatric Chiropractic. Some of you, I may have been your instructor with the ICPA at one time, or you've been to a first adjustment. And if this is for others who this is first time, greetings to you. And I hope you love family wellness as much as everybody else is. I was just talking to a young doctor today, and she's in year 3. And she has a VIP practice, all families, wellness, and pregnancy, and all the rest. And she's an associate doctor who's blossomed a practice within a very relief, mechanical style kind of practitioner. And I believe that anything is possible, that even as we go through our holiday season and we begin 2021, that I do not believe my county and my state or governor, he or she might be able to quarantine me with rules and regulations. And I'm not there to argue with them or anything like that. But I think about it, I'm not going to let by any means, I'm not going to let anybody ever quarantine my dreams. And I'm here to share with you that, one of the things that is happening to many of us, our colleagues, is that you have what we call sometimes energy or emotional vampires that basically are lingering around. For some, it's, what we pick up on social media, and it's just, you can't help yourself. It's like a car accident. You just keep wanting to look over there, knowing that it's not going to make us any happier. I mean, matter of fact, when they send you that little screen time, at the end of the week and so forth, your time should be going down. Our time shouldn't be going up by any means. Another thing is interference is how much our patients, I don't know about you and your practice, but I've had many patients trying to really suck out energy about, whether it's the virus, it's politics, it's businesses are shutting down. And yet a lot of those, for you and myself, there isn't anything I can always keep control of. And so one of the things that we did in many of our generations, my mentoring program, their practices, I asked them to basically, when they were starting to hear that negativity begin to happen in even their adjusting room or wherever they might be, just in that moment, like with the patient, to say, yeah, may I just stop you with your permission? May I pivot you into something that's more wellness related, something that would, when you go home tonight, it's going to have more power in your life and the life of your family. And so if, and all of us, we have those patients. If we were on a one-on-one call chatting, I bet you would just say, oh yeah, I've got a handful of those. I do. My staff knows who they are. And yet when you see them wanting to pull you away from a true wellness conversation, I would encourage you as my colleague to just would say, with your permission, may I pivot you? Our time together is so precious. And these are things that you want to bring up. I have no control over, but could I let me do something information wise, whether, and again, it's fitness, nutrition, mindfulness, a good tidbit, you can impart, you could be the ripple in somebody's life that could change things. Now, one of the things I'm going to encourage you as my colleague about nobody quarantining your dream is, what I would encourage you to do is, I'd like for you to go back and write this down if you're taking notes. I want you to go back to your 2019. I want you to go back to your 2019 internal and external schedule. What did you do in 2019? Forgetting this year, but what did you do and what was successful? What would you, had it been a normal year this year, what would you have repeated? And what I would like, I'm suggesting to my colleagues, is go back to 2019, what worked, and then start planning and dreaming that maybe what I'm encouraging people to think, if there's not going to be any interruption to your schedule, plan as if it's happening. And I realize that things may change, but if you stay home and you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, oh, I'm not going to get to it, it won't happen. First off, you're going to miss, you're missing opportunities. So because somewhere in this year, things are going to get back to normal. And so you have two choices to fall into, in a sense. The analogy is you could be the busy bee, and just really getting, just going for the pollen and bringing it back to your honeycomb. And you are literally working, knowing that something is, if you're nimble enough, something is going to happen, something will work. And I know this because in our Generations program, all the doctors I've been mentoring, some up to 15, 17 years now, not one of our practice took a nosedive. There was maybe for 4 to 5 weeks, our practices dropped 20, maybe to 25%. But since May on, each one of the practices, and I'm talking people who live in big cities, rural areas, every one of their practices grew. They grew in new patients. They grew in more visits with patients. Financially, they were blessed. They grew there as well. And that can't help it. I just have one of our doctors here, and she just this morning at 5 o'clock her time, because we work with people all over the place. One of Alyssa, she texts me, and it was just such an honor to get that from her, her text to me. And basically she says first thing in the morning, she says, well, it looks like I'm going to hit my 2020 goal of blank patients a week. The last week I'm working this year, blank on the schedule. Thanks for holding me up and pushing me along through quite a year. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and to Anastasia. And so anything is possible. You can have a growing practice, and you've got a plan. You know what? I'm not going to, maybe I had some slips in the crack during this past year, but for 2021, I'm not going to let this happen. And so you've got to go in with like the bee mentality. I'm going out there. I'm going out, collecting pollen. I'm bringing it back to my practice. And because the other one is a person who's a grasshopper, lives for the summer and doesn't realize that winter is coming. And basically, like a bee or an ant, if you don't store, you're not ready. And the storing would be like, for example, signing up for events, looking at other ways of maybe with other professionals, maybe to do like a kind of a Zoom meeting workshop that, thinking, be nimble. That's another word I would like for you to write down. Can you just be nimble, be able to not be stuck? Well, this is the way we always did it. If I can't do it this way, and then, you have cry party. Just think about, all right, if it can't work out this way, would there be something else that would be unique that I could do this year that would be different? Maybe I wouldn't have exactly the same turnout, but at least I'm out there trying, whether it's doing something internal or external in our practices. Another area that we want you to think about, docs, is how have you been doing with your recalling? So for some of the doctors out there, you actually, many people drop the ball, I don't want to bother people, or and not realizing all along the way, a majority of us in your state or province, you are considered essential. And that people, particularly in March, April, or maybe have not known that because a lot of medical doctors shut their practices down because they didn't know what to do. And as a result of it, people just got out, we call it out of the routine of wellness. And some of your best patients out there, doctors, have missed, and because of all, they're caught up in all the energy draining stuff in the world, they basically have stopped their wellness habit with you. And I would encourage you to reach out to people. I mean, one of the first things you could do is, if somebody hasn't been in maybe 3 to 6 months, anybody who hasn't been with you a year or over, they've actually left your practice. So they're probably more relief. But anybody that has had consistent care with you under this last year, what if you're a busier practice, maybe it's your staff calling and we're just thinking about you, checking in on you, letting you know we're open during the holiday season, or we'll be back in the practice in January. Which is where, again, if you have any needs of chiropractic, our practice, even during any changes on a state level, we are going to, because we're considered essential, our practice will continue to stay open. You'd be surprised. A lot of people still may not realize how available you are to come see them. Another thing is some of your wonderful patients. What would you think about the possibility of doing handwritten notes and sending a handwritten note out to everyone? And as a result of a handwritten note, just thinking, we were thinking about you. Had great thoughts of wishing you a positive 2021. One of the things that we did in our program and so forth, is that we came up with some stretch sheets for our practice members in Generations. And what we did for them was we encouraged them to just take that with a newsletter that we write for them, tri-folded, and below put a post-it note, "We miss you." And so again, I wouldn't be mailing with Christmas next week and going into the New Year's, but that could be certainly something that you do the second week of January, would be to send them something that you have, a little post-it note, that it doesn't feel, it'd be like a soft recall that we're just thinking about you. I mean, that would be a great tool to use. And so just little things that you could do that can make a world of difference. One of the things that we recommend is maybe for again, mid-January or February, is if some of your families have not come back in, why not send an activity sheet, some chiropractic stickers, a little love letter, "We miss you," and then you send them something in the end of January or beginning of February. Right now, again, going in the holiday season, that's just too much to do, but that would be an easy activity. One of the things that we had our doctors in Generations do back in the month of August, September, when we knew most kids were going to be probably schooling from home. This was what we said in a kit packet, was 3 simple stretches. And so this was, so the kids would have stretches that they could do at their home. And then depending on the age of the kid, we would have different stretch sheets, young child, older child. And so we give them really good tidbits. And what we found, and again, you could come up with something on your own, but we found that our parents really appreciate the thoughtfulness that you went the extra mile of to send something to our practice. So it just would be just a simple tool to do. What if you have some downtime? I mean, maybe your practice is taking a little dip, and beyond recalling, what else could you do? What if you took this time, particularly if some of you are quieting down your practice for the next, maybe the next 2 weeks? I'm encouraging people to maybe start up your YouTube library and make it tidbits on how to be well, something that they know is really coming from your heart. They know that's areas of whether it's eating clean, fitness, mindfulness. I mean, the things that you, how to get a good night's sleep. It's all the things that you like to talk about to the patients. And what about if you just to do really quick 2-3 minute segments and just start lining them up and just get it ready for 2021. And then that would be something, rather than just, then that could be something positive, doctors, that you could put out into the practice, so that you let them know, I have here's my library of different topics on sleeping, and maybe on preconception, pregnancy, whatever that topic might be. And what you turn around and are able to do, if you're working with this kind of area with the YouTube, then you send people to it. Look, and we'll mail it to something, a link once, and this could be for newer patients. We'll send you a link once a week to some topic that we feel would help you enhance your chiropractic care. One of the things that if somebody needs to be what we call content driven, is sometimes you're missing, where do I get the content? I mean, I'm too busy, or I'm not maybe a great writer and all the rest. But one of the things that you could use It's maybe just more internal education. And so one of the things that maybe for 2021 would be to maybe get into our what we call our wellness education club, and basically receiving a new newsletter every month to drive in conversation in the office, and something just to talk about new, some of the things that happens in many chiropractors practices and even the wellness practices is that you run out of the content, or some of the content which just wouldn't really fit a family wellness practice. But we have on our website, we have a ton of newsletters and past issues, ones that people can order and so forth. We're actually revamping our website right now, and it'll be that section there is going to be launched the beginning of January. But just to start with a good newsletter, this is one that in the first week of January, we're also going to send you. We're right now personalizing this for you so that you can just something to print off and just show in the practice. Another area to do content driven, doctors, is what if you had a practice that all of a sudden once a month you printed off something. This was the month of November that we had in the club. And what it was did you know about just being really, from the heart of thankfulness and being grateful? We came out with a study, and that study basically flat out showed them that, gratitude makes a world of difference in our attitude. And so another one, this is going to be the one that's being released. And we released it a week and a half ago. It was a link that shows that basically children being exposed to antibiotics under the age of 2 can develop serious side effects. So what we'll do, and this could be again something that might fit really well in your practice, is what if a news article comes out, but sometimes people they don't know how to write this story about how, as a family wellness chiropractor, you would care about it. And so if some research is hitting like this, we immediately, our call to action is making it into a, by the way, graphically attractive thing for patients to do. As a matter of fact, we'll be sending you some samples of this so you can print that off in your own office, post it in your office. You'll be surprised. If you want to, if you really want to build an amazing like flower garden, I mean, you want the best VIP patients. Part of it is you got to change what's going internally with your content. Many practices may just have not like a topic of the day, but they have this checklist that they're doing, but it's not an evolving, dynamic, informational practice. You see, you should be, my encouragement is that you ought to be really the resource teller. I mean, every time I come in your office, I might be able to pick up a newsletter. I see something maybe in your reception area, in your adjusting room area, open adjusting area, that, wow, that's an interesting factoid. And I leave knowing I could take your content of information that's changing every month, and I leave with that contact knowing something more for myself personally. But in some cases, if you have newsletters and things like that, then your patient is passing it on to other people. If you are in my reception area, I have a kind of a double-decker Wellness Family newsletter stand, and in it, I have over 24 of my past issues. And I know because I'm the one that counts it, so I just can see what happens on a weekly basis. It is amazing. If you had a Wellness Family newsletter stand, how many people will take stuff? Well, I didn't know you knew this. I didn't know you did preconception. I didn't know you did. And all of a sudden, they're pulling this out. And not only are they pulling it out for themselves, but they're pulling it out maybe for friends from church, family members. We have a really very young and hip progressive 15, 6-year-old grandparents that are pulling it for their adult children to pass on information. And sometimes just through the Wellness Family newsletter, we build VIP referrals in our practice. It's just an amazing tool. Imagine if in your practice, docs, another thing is, imagine if this was, and we're going to be sending you this. The only thing you'll have to do is personalize this, and that'll be coming out. You're going to receive 2 emails for us in January, the first week of January 4th. One will be your personalized newsletter, a gift from us. You're going to also, and then it'll have a download of Dan, because we're going in the holidays. We thought timing for emailing wasn't a great idea. So we'll do the first week of January. And then Dan Murphy, who is, by the way, a dear friend of our Generations members, he always does little private talks for my group. And so it's an audio of he and I chatting a month ago, and his notes with us. And this is kind of the caliber of people that we hang out with, is the fact that we always want, my heart is always, if we can get more information to the family wellness chiropractor. So they have to do no more than the lifting of a piece of paper, meaning it's the content is already always created. So you are the family wellness chiropractor, but now we drive content in to the practice. And then what happens there is we believe then through it kind of elevating everybody's education and elevating people's techniques, because we if you're in Generations, we come together once a year for a private technique seminar that I bring some guru and technique from the world in, and we're having a hands-on private seminar, which most of the time that individual would never do it privately, but because of my relationship with a lot of people in the profession, I get all those yeses just because they like to hang out with a fun group of people. And those are just some of the things that you could dream about. And I really, anything that kind of quarantines you this year, it kind of in your brain or in your heart, I just want you to know that you can kind of let go of that stuff. I mean, why not, beginning in January, print this off. And this is, again, a longer legal size sheet right through here. One of the things that some of our doctors do, and we'll have in this format too, is, again, you would personalize this. But it's always about lifestyle. And another factor to did you know, my parents love family time and getting the most out of chiropractic. And then what we do is on the other 2 pages, we give recipes out front to back here. And some of our doctors email it to their patients. Some of our doctors will then, they even laminate it, and then they just let people take a picture of it. It's everybody uses it a little bit different. But what if in 2021, part of the change is like freshen up the internal content of your practice. And like I said, that's going to be something, like with newsletters, did you know matter? Being part of the club, and really all that club stuff like this right through here, something like this here, and a newsletter that comes on a monthly basis. It's like for just $30 a month, you're doing something very easy. And so pull out 2019 docs. Please do see what you did in 2019. Dream, what if you wait, pretend there's going to be no interruptions. And I know there's going to be some along the way, but the reason why I've got good advice is I'm 38 years in practice. So I'm living it, man. I know what's like, and I have a vibrant young practice. And if I've been practicing over 30 years, I should have a geriatric practice. I have the other end. I have youngness, wellness, prenatal, preconception. And I've been able to grow. I've had not one a chiropractor that I have worked with in mentoring. And maybe that's something for 2021, maybe just give a call to Anastasia. She is my wing woman for our educational program. And her telephone number is 559-291-7800. And that's 559-291-7800. And what if just a possibility, and again, that program with mentoring others and so forth, what makes it probably unique, and I'm just going to grab one more thing that we're going to be providing for you. What if all of a sudden you could learn to be nimble, have all the content. You're talking with me, not for 5 minutes, but you're being taught over an hour a month. And then I chat with you privately for a half hour. And imagine now that you have an hour and a half of wellness and content and growing, and that anything's possible. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be an outgoing person. Some of my most amazing growth doctors are the shyest people in the world. They'd say sometimes 5 words in a day, and that's it. And yet they can grow because their intention is right. The only thing is maybe what we do is help them create more content to get their message out and so forth. And for some of you that are the go-getters, you're rock stars in your practice now. What about if you had a little bit more fun or just freshened it up, and you didn't have to do that, like I said, having to really pound the pavement, or really feeling like I have to push harder for internal referrals. What about the internal referrals from the right VIP patients? Actually did all the work for you. And that's what I believe. I believe all of my content of material is basically what people externally bring out to their group of friends and family members. And when they have that kind of high awareness, and they're bringing that message to their friends and family members, people I would never get a chance to meet or get to know or maybe become an authority in their life. They do all the talking for me, and that's where the referrals coming in. There is no reason. And again, I sometimes look at my, what kind of buckets do we have in life? We were always going to have some relief patients coming in our practice. But imagine if you're a practice now that needed less new patients because you had higher retention. I mean, which one would you pick? A practicing style that you would need to have 30 to 75 new patients a month to survive, to break even. Because that means if that's happening there, you have a really high drop-off rate. As a matter of fact, if you audit your practice, what visit are they dropping off? 3, 6, 9? They're not, that's not a family wellness practice. A family wellness practice is looking back. They need less new patients. They have higher retention. And in many of my colleagues that I'm working with, my beloved doctors, we're now been with them, some of them for so long, we're now growing associates in their practice because they want to help younger doctors get started. And that my lead doctors want to take more vacations, spend more time with their family. And now we're mentoring their associate doctors. This year alone, we've had close to over 5 of our doctors grow enough. We're doing associate program. I got off the phone this morning with another 4 doctors, and out of 4 doctors, 3 of them told me they have a dream of the associate next year, and how are we going to grow that? Because and by the way, when I think about associate doctors, I love associate doctors. I believe in this. I'm not a management program. I look for the forever associate, that she or he comes in your life. There's such a beautiful fit on you, and that we're so generous with them that if you were loving and kind, and they're like a mirror image, but maybe they're doing a little different technique, or they're maybe quieter, one's more talkative. It doesn't matter. We have all different kinds of associates. We're never the same cookie cutter. But imagine having someday your forever associate. She or he's there 2 years from now, 5 years, 10 years from now. That's the kind of relationship. I believe a relationship-based practice, a relationship-based chiropractor with associates and staff, you get longevity in there. One of the things that you're going to get the first week of January from me, we've got 3 looks I wanted you to have. It's a winter look. And basically it says, we continue to accept new patients during this time, serving our community. And the reason why I created that is I wanted people to know, because some of them may not think that you're accepting new patients. So I wanted them to be able to know, just in the subconscious mind, that your practice is still receiving new patients, you're still receiving new patients. And you never know in that subconscious mind when they see it in your practice, or maybe it's at the checkout desk, sign-in desk, your adjusting room, they realize, oh yeah. And then they subconsciously begin to think of, who could I refer over to the practice? Many doctors have felt really tired, like I'm really tired going to the well. And the reason why they're tired going to the well, and they don't know if they have one more bucket at the bottom of the well, is that we have forgotten, whether it's God, the universe, however you want to state it, our universe always has waters and deeper wells. So when you just think, or if you have thought this year, my dearest colleagues, that your well is on the empty side, you cannot pull another bucket of water, because just when you think you've got the last drop out and you're sharing it in your community, you're sharing it with your patients, you're sharing it in your marriages and with your family, just know that the waters run deep, and the universe, gravity brings the water back in the well if you're receiving. Some people just look down in that well, and then and because it's dark and they can't see always to the bottom, they think, oh, I've run out. But there have been many times when I've been, sometimes I can get physically tired if I've had a busy day. But imagine that you have a place of abundance, and your patients, your families, they need you, folks. If you run out of gas and you don't go to that abundance well, that certainly it's what got you into chiropractic, that abundance principle. Why are you in family wellness? That abundance principle. I am begging you to go. Your well is going to fill you up. You are not alone, doctors, and just go there. It's there. And if you feel you're out of water, you call Anastasia, that telephone number at 559 291-7800. And I'm going to reach out to you because you had it in chiropractic college. You're a family wellness chiropractor. You had to have it. You're not the PI workman's comp, assembly line doc. You're into it because of the heart of it. And we can 2021 from the bottom of my heart can really truly be a year of growth, a year of professional or even financial prosperity. And it's not about making the money. It's really about the level of service we give, because God will bless us when you give service. It comes back, in that tenfold principle and so forth, and you could be there. And so I want you to, again, pull up a dreaming. Remember, nobody can quarantine us. You're not your heart, not your spirit, and not your patients who are in your practice who could refer more people to you. And so, just know that the first week in January, you're going to get 2 emails. One will be from Anastasia from Generations, where we're going to reach out to you and give you a personalized newsletter. It will give you a link to Dr. Dan Murphy's audio tape with me and his notes and so forth. And then you're going to get something from a Constant Contact called the Family Wellness Club. And there you're going to get a lot of cool free stuff here that you can personalize it, so forth. You're going to get some really cool things to download in your practice. And even for just knowing that, for just $30 a month, I could be joining this wellness club and getting this kind of stuff on a monthly basis. Yeah, maybe that's just the first baby step you do. And for others, maybe, hey, bigger game on, and maybe reach out, talk to us about Generations. Again, you just never know. This year could be your best year ever. I know it because I have love talks with my docs all the time, and things are wonderful. And just as I said, wishing you a good holidays. Remember, we come from a place of abundance. And although some of you may be a little tired, that well will refill. If you just open it up, it just will refill up, and then you will be able to dig deeper and reach out and do good for others. You are an amazing colleagues. I'm blessed to be arm in arm with you in our profession, because heavens forbid we had to reduplicate family wellness. And each one of you, I know Judy Forster and I created that category 35 years ago. Family wellness category was branded by Judy Forster and myself. And to see the thousands of family wellness chiropractors out there is a blessing. And so just know, nobody can court in your dreams. God bless you guys. Happy holidays. First week of January, you're going to get all these goodies from us. Take care. We'll see you.